This verse came to my attention. It's Ecclesiastes 5:13. He says, there is a sore evil which I've seen under the sun, namely riches kept for the owners thereof to their hurt. A sore evil. So that there are even different degrees of evil. This is called a sore evil. And it's talking about wealth and riches kept to the owners that eventually will hurt them. Now, many of us may not consider that to be an evil. When we think about evil, we may think about genocide, murder, slavery, rape, molestation, abuse. These are definitely evils that we think about, but we don't think about what the Bible calls evil in some cases. And when I'm dealing with Psalm 23, I will fear no evil. But as you study the subject of evil, it's going to give you a much clearer understanding of what God considers evil. And again, I define evil as a thought, an action, a behavior of someone, a system, a group that causes hurt, harm, pain, or destruction in the life of another individual. So there are things that have happened that are evil. Slavery, evil. Genocide, evil. Rape, molestation, evil. These are things, they're evil people in our society. They're evil spirits that operate behind the scene, that promote evil. So evil is a reality. And it's something that you see. And when the author of Ecclesiastes is noticing under the sun, he notices evil and he notices madness. The word madness is found 5 times. The word evil is found 19 times in the book of Ecclesiastes. So when he looks at vanity, he looks at meaningless, without God, life without God, under the sun. When he looks at wisdom, foolishness, folly, madness, when he looks at what men do, how men live their lives, men and women, he notices evil. And you don't have to look very far to see evil in our society. It is a reality. It is something that we must contend with. And our prayer is that, Lord, deliver us from evil. And I will fear no evil. David said, I believe it's Psalms 42:10, for innumerable evils have surrounded me. Wow, what a statement. Evils so numerous until they could not be counted. He felt surrounded by evil, which means that people, situations that were there to hurt, harm, or bring destruction to him. This is evil. And God will deliver you and protect you from evil. I talked about the hedge of protection. But let's look at this evil. This is called an evil under the sun, a sore evil, Ecclesiastes 5:13. In this verse, the author of Ecclesiastes is traditionally understood to be Solomon, reflects on one of the many ironies of life, how wealth, instead of bringing happiness and security, can sometimes cause harm to the person who hoards it. This sore evil or grievous evil is an observation about human nature and the potential dangers of materialism. The passage presents a warning against the dangers of hoarding wealth, greed, covetousness, and highlights the futility and harm that can result from an excessive attachment to material possessions. The phrase under the sun is frequently used in Ecclesiastes to refer to life from a purely earthly or human perspective without considering the eternal or divine. It highlights the limitations and vanity of life when viewed solely from a temporal, worldly standpoint. In this particular verse, the sore evil refers to a destructive and harmful reality that Solomon had observed in the human experience, the way people pursue and cling to riches, often to their detriment. It's the love of money. Love of money is the root of all evil. Notice evil is connected to the love of money. So when there's a love of money, a pursuit of money, apart from God, when there's greed, covetousness, the result is always evil. Whether it's slavery, men stealing, whether it's prostitution, drug addiction, whether it's oppressing people, the love of money is the root of all evil. So you cannot talk about evil without talking about the love of money, covetousness, greed. It's the source of much evil in our society. And it's called a sore evil. And it really warns us against this from ourselves pursuing this, being greedy, covetousness, consumed with money. It always leads to hurt, harm, destruction, and devastation of the owners as well as those that are affected. How many people lives have been destroyed because of the love of money? How many lives have been destroyed because of drugs, selling drugs, making billions of dollars off drug sales? How many lives have been ruined? That's evil, the destruction of lives. How many lives have been destroyed through alcohol? Again, profit for the love of money. How many lives were destroyed through slavery, selling people? The love of money for profit, for gain. The author's use of the word sore or grievous indicates that this evil is particularly painful or damaging. It is not merely an inconvenience or a moral failure, but something that brings suffering and harm to those involved. The evil Solomon is describing here is not wealth itself, but the way it is used and stored up by those who possess it. The central point of this verse is that riches, when hoarded or clung to, can ultimately bring harm to their owners. This highlights the paradox of wealth. People often accumulate riches in the hope that it will bring them security, comfort, and happiness. Yet in the process, they may end up hurting themselves. The desire to keep wealth rather than using it wisely, sharing it, or enjoying it in moderation can lead to personal harm. This harm can manifest in several ways. Number one, emotional and physical strain. The desire to accumulate wealth can lead to anxiety, fear, and stress. People who are obsessed with keeping their wealth often worry about losing it, about the security of their assets, and about how to gain more. The love of money, as scripture frequently warns, can lead to a never-ending cycle of dissatisfaction. In Ecclesiastes 5:10, Solomon writes, "He that loves silver shall not be satisfied with silver, nor he that loves abundance with increase. This also is vanity," or chasing the wind. It's also madness. This relentless pursuit of wealth can become an emotional burden that weighs down the person who hoards it. Number two, greed and isolation. Hoarding wealth can lead to greed, where accumulation of riches becomes the sole focus of one's life. This can isolate a person from meaningful relationships and from a life of generosity or service to others. Wealth becomes an idol. The person who hoards it may find that it consumes their time, energy, and focus, leaving little room for anything else. This isolation from others and from God is a form of harm in itself. Number three, spiritual damage. The Bible consistently warns that the love of money can lead to spiritual destruction. In 1 Timothy 6:10, Paul writes, "For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows." The hoarding of wealth can lead people away from God, causing them to place their trust in material possessions rather than in Him. The accumulation of wealth, when done for its own sake, can pull a person's heart away from the things of God, leading to spiritual poverty, even as material riches increase. In the broader context of Ecclesiastes, Solomon often speaks about the futility and vanity of life when it is lived solely for material gain. There's some people, they live their whole life just for money, for gain. for materials. That's their whole focus in life. Not worship, not prayer, not serving God, not evangelizing, not seeking after the things of the Spirit. Throughout the book, he laments that wealth, no matter how much it is accumulated, cannot bring lasting fulfillment or true security. In fact, in verses following, Ecclesiastes 5:13, Solomon gives an example of how hoarded wealth can be lost through misfortune or bad investments. Ecclesiastes 5:14. He points out that riches can be fleeting and unreliable. This reflection adds another layer to the idea of wealth being kept to the owner's hurt. Even when wealth is amassed and carefully guarded, there is no guarantee that it will remain. Riches can be lost through circumstances beyond one's control, such as market crashes, theft, or natural disasters. This highlights the folly of putting one's trust in wealth, which is ultimately temporary and fragile. Solomon's point is clear. When wealth is hoarded or treated as a source of ultimate security, it becomes a source of pain and harm rather than joy or peace. The person who clings to wealth for security may find that it slips away, leaving them without nothing but regret and sorrow. Ecclesiastes as a whole encourages a balanced perspective on wealth. Solomon does not argue that wealth itself is evil, but rather that it must be understood and used wisely. Wealth is a tool, not an end in itself. When riches are accumulated and kept solely for self-interest, they bring harm. However, when wealth is used for good, when it is shared, invested in others, and held with an open hand, it can be a blessing. In Ecclesiastes 5:18-20, Solomon offers a more positive perspective. Behold, that which I've seen it is good and comely for one to eat and to drink and to enjoy the good of all his labor, that he taketh under the sun all the days of his life, which God giveth him, for it is his portion. Solomon encourages people to enjoy the blessings of their labor, recognizing that these blessings come from God. This is a contrast to hoarding wealth, which brings harm. The proper approach to wealth, according to Solomon, is to enjoy it as a gift from God, use it wisely, and avoid becoming enslaved by it. Ecclesiastes 5:13 warns of the sore evil of hoarding wealth to the detriment of the owner. Solomon's wisdom reveals that riches, when kept for selfish reasons or as a source of security, can lead to emotional, spiritual, and relational harm. The madness of this behavior lies in the fact that people often believe that wealth will bring them comfort or peace, but in reality, it can become a burden that damages their lives and souls. The solution, as Solomon suggests, is to view wealth not as a possession to be hoarded, but as a gift from God to be enjoyed, shared, and used for good. When wealth is held with an open hand and used in the service to others and in gratitude to God, it becomes a blessing rather than a curse. In this way, Solomon's reflection in Ecclesiastes points toward a life of contentment, generosity, and trust in God rather than in material wealth. So God calls the greed, covetousness, love of money, an evil, and it calls it a sore evil. It is evil. It is wicked. Sometimes people don't look at greed, covetousness, materialism as evil, but it's evil. It's beyond just accumulating things. God calls it evil, and we can be delivered from evil. We can be delivered from covetousness, greed, materialism, pride, idolatry. Covetousness, the scripture says, is idolatry. It's the worship of money. It's the worship of possessions. That's why giving is so important. Giving is a way that you reflect that you're not trusting in your resources. You're willing to give. You're willing to release. You're willing to bless others, which is why I love giving to the poor. Our projects that we've done in Liberia, other parts of Africa, providing clean water, our outreach to street children in South Africa is always a way that I make sure that I'm always giving. I'm always using what God has provided me with to be a blessing to others. I never look at money and wealth as God. Money is a great servant. It is a terrible ruler. When it rules your life, it will destroy you and bring hurt, harm, and pain. When it serves you, it will be a blessing to the people in your generation. So let's have a proper perspective. I know what I shared may be known by many of you, but we need to be reminded of these things. And I'm putting it in the context of evil. Again, Ecclesiastes calls it a sore evil, calls it wicked, calls it evil. So let's call it what it is. It's evil. It's the root of all evil. It's not just sin. It's evil. It's wicked. It's ungodly. It causes much hurt, much pain, and much destruction. And I pray that you would never experience that in your life, but that you'll be delivered from evil and that you will not fear evil all the days of your life. Thank you so much for those who are watching. I forgot to welcome those around the world: Europe, Africa, Asia, Australia, New Zealand, North America, Central, South America, the Caribbean. Thank you for tuning in. And if you want to sow a seed, do a $23 seed. We're releasing our faith in Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And I decree also Deuteronomy 1:11. The Lord make you 1,000 times more, 1,000 times more, 1,000 times more. You've not had it. First, thank all of those who've given. If you've not had a chance to do it, go to the giving addresses: Cash App at AJE Global, and PayPal at Apostle JE, the number 1. Again, Apostle JE, the number 1. Thank you so much. We'll continue this tomorrow. Don't forget JohnEckhardt.tv. If you want to sign up for tomorrow evening's online event, Deliverance and Healing from Madness. And of course, type in the word arise in the comments. You'll get the link for the online event beginning Monday, which is free of charge. Women Arise Masterclass. We have close to 35,000 that have already registered, and we're believing for over 50,000 to register for this. It's Monday, begins Monday, all week, so don't miss it, and I'll be a part of that, which is of course provided through Impact University. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll continue this teaching tomorrow, and we'll continue this conversation in Clubhouse. And it's always in departing until you hear from me again. God bless you and double shalom. God bless. Thank you.